Welcome to the X-Podcast. I'm Xiomara Sosa, your host. Every week, we speak to our community members to teach them about mental health through education and awareness. Our hope is to inspire them through social change advocacy. We also bring on community members and other mental health professionals, advocates, students, and others in the mental health and related professions. Our podcast style is storytelling. Everyone has a mental health story to tell. The information shared in this podcast is not a substitute for seeking help from a licensed mental health professional and is not a substitute for psychological diagnosis or treatment. This podcast is for educational awareness and social change advocacy purposes only. If you find yourself in a mental health crisis or in distress, please dial 911 or go to your nearest emergency room. Welcome, everyone, to the X-Podcast, Real Conversations about Mental Health. This is episode number 57, and today's topic is taking care of your mental health during current affairs and the protests. I am your host, Xiomara Sosa, creator and executive producer of this podcast. Our mission is to educate our communities and listeners about mental health and inspire them through social change advocacy. As a social change scientist and social change advocate, I strive to have real conversations on this podcast about all things related to mental health. I'm a clinical mental health counselor, a national board certified counselor, a licensed professional counselor, and a clinical supervisor in South Carolina. As a holistic therapist, my approach is inclusive and culturally competent. My counseling specialty is clinical mental health. My clinical focus areas are anxiety disorders, depressive disorders, gender dysphoria, and trauma and stressor-related disorders. My areas of specializations are integrative mental health, multicultural counseling, and women's mental health. As a United States military veteran who served in the Air Force and Army, I celebrate diversity, I honor and promote equity, and I value inclusivity in all communities, especially marginalized communities. I'm the owner and clinical director of Somerville Women's Mental Health Services, which is a teaching practice here in the Low Country of South Carolina in the USA. I'm also the founder and executive director of the X Studio, a mental health cooperative, a nonprofit organization. It's a place for mental health interns and licensed professional counselor associates to start their journey as the next generation of professional mental health clinicians. So today I am joined by my co-host JRoc, who will introduce himself, and then we also have two guests, which will also introduce themselves and talk a little bit about their activities before we get into our content.
Awesome. Well, I am JRoc, a co-host, technical advisor for the podcast, and big audiophile. Been doing broadcasting and radio for about 20 years, and just love everything audio. Just basically just a huge fan of just all of that in general. So one thing I love more than anything is all about self-growth. Basically learning to get better every day, learning new things and unlearning a few things as well. But that's the great thing about being a part of the podcast, because, definitely learned a lot about myself in these past few episodes. But it's been fun. It's been amazing. And, I learn something new every time. So,
all right. Who's next?
Hi, it's Anthony. Also, audiophile. Make music sometimes. For those who don't know. Grade A schmuck, that's what I am. but I'm learning. I'm learning to be nice to myself thanks to this podcast.
Yeah, that's nice to know.
that's it.
Nichole?
I'm Nichole Myles. I am formerly an educator, formerly a nonprofit executive, and now in my third act, I have decided to become a clinical mental health counselor. So I am one of the clinical mental health counseling interns as a member of the X Studio.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, our little team. I love our little team. It's growing.
/ furniture mover.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. All right, so then we're just going to get right into it. I wasn't really sure what to name this podcast, because really what we were going to talk about was talking notes that I had prepared for weeks ago that I haven't done yet. But then with everything that's going on right now, politically, the political environment, and a lot of people want to pretend that does not have appropriate space in the mental health community. Well, it does, because all of our mental health clients and all the work we do really is, everything is informed and affected by the political environment social issues, like all of it. So I don't know I don't even know how that thinking happened, but that's not true. So here we do deal with it. And especially with me and Nichole, like our clients really are part of the majority of these communities are being affected. And then not only that, even if they're not, we're friends of, we're people of. They're Americans, they're our people, and we have a voice in that. And part of our directive as clinical mental health counselors is to be social change advocates. And social change advocacy is exactly this. So I wasn't sure what to name it, but I always want to make our podcast related to mental health because that's our mission. But we are going to talk about issues that we don't really necessarily talk about all of the time, but we're always going to take it back to how this is affecting people, why this is important, and why it matters. And that's kind of it. We're charged up. I'm charged up. I have a chip on my shoulder. I have attitude, and I am going to be fully transparent about that. I'm not biting my tongue about what's going on, specifically because it is personal in so many ways. And it also is... It's horrifying, and it makes my anxiety and my depression get triggered. So I can't imagine everyone else and how they're feeling. So that matters to me more than any of the politics. So I do have a full disclosure and transparency paragraph that I need to read, that I want to read, and that I'm going to read. And then we're going to kind of just shoot into the situation. So current affairs, including political and social, directly and indirectly affect mental health. Our mission includes education and social change. Therefore, current affairs informs our conversations. Today, we will be discussing current affairs and the mental health implications of what's going on. And I'm going to use those terms interchangeably. It is political. Some people don't like that word. So we're just going to have to use current affairs because that makes it, nicer, easier. So we'll just use that. But that's really what we're referring to. We're not talking about the rain coming down that's drowning people. We're talking about political stuff that's making it be about current affairs, okay? Just full transparency. All right, so we do not in any way support violence, vandalism, interference, or the attacking of law enforcement officers, legitimate law enforcement officers. We are talking police officers, state police. We are talking people who are not currently at the source of what's going on right now. So we have issues with law enforcement officers. That's not what we're here to talk about. There's good, there's bad, there's indifferent about it. But we do not condone violence. We do not condone interference when they're trying to do their job legitimately. So do not come at me with that, okay? Because that is not what we're saying. Vandalism, none of that. We don't. We're not promoting it, and we're not excusing it. We do, however, support everyone's constitutional rights to exist without fear of authoritarianism, their freedom of expression, and their right to protect and advocate for others and themselves, including protesting peacefully. That I do. We all do. I mean, I'm saying we like I'm speaking for everybody here, but by we, I mean me. The South Carolina governor put out a statement using the term anti-American, and although I agreed and supported most of what was in his statement, because it did refer to peacefulness and the protests that are going to go on, and that they will not tolerate attacks on police officers. People will be arrested if they do that, vandalism, and all of those things. I agree with all of that. I am vehemently against the term anti-Americans and the way that he used it. It was incredibly transparent to me how that word was being used. He was saying something without saying something. And I'm not stupid. I get what you're saying, and maybe everybody else thinks that you're being a certain kind of way, but I feel like that was really deceiving, because it is not anti-American to protest. Nobody that's coming to protest is anti-American. In fact, is the opposite. People are protesting because that is very American. And to somehow suggest that the protesters that are coming are anti-American, it's, to me, deplorable. And to use it in a way, in a statement, to make us as South Carolina residents somehow feel safe with that statement, in fact, did the opposite to a lot of us when he used the term anti-Americans, because I don't know who you're referring to, but I can guess. Because that seems to be in line with the false rhetoric that's coming from Washington about this. And thus, just my personal opinion, I have a problem with that. So I'm just going to full disclosure out there. The term that I wish he would have used was peaceful protesters who are openly organizing to protect human rights and constitutional rights. That would have made more sense to me in the context of which he used everything else that I agreed with, but he did not. Some people might not find that important and didn't read into that the way I did, but I see that. I see it. I found that deceitful, I found it fear-mongering, and it plays along with the insidious playbook to be able to support the offenses that are occurring in our country and trying to villainize the people rising against it by using that term. So I'm going on the record by saying that. Because many of my clients are affected by that, as am I.
Correct.
As am I. And as are our people. Because everybody in this country are our people. Everybody's an American. Even if they're undocumented, that's not illegal. That is a civil offense. That is not a criminal offense. And the way that they're trying to project this, and that is the law. It's a civil offense, it's not a criminal offense, and there is a due process there, okay? And just because you're, an immigrant that is undocumented or illegal does not make you a threat to society. That does not equal violence and drug cartels and all kinds of stuff. Like that conversation needs to be real clear. So.
Nor does it reduce your humanity.
No, it does not. And it does not justify 4-year-olds being dragged out of fucking schools and traumatizing classes. And no, it doesn't. Yeah. So language is important is what I'm trying to say. Language is important. Okay, so I am an independent voter. I have been an independent since my many, many, many years working at the Pentagon and working in DC because I've seen shit from both sides. And nobody is perfect and both sides do things that I'm not a fan of. But I look at everybody very individually and decide things. So this is all politicians and partisanship from a certain lens is where I'm coming from. I'm a 9/11 survivor, and I'm also a military veteran from the Air Force and the Army. So my lens is particularly offendable, if that's a word, right now. My father escaped, the Dominican Republic, which is why I was born here and served this country, because of a dictator that did exactly what I'm watching happening right now, exactly to the T. They were a democratic society. Everything was fine and dandy until this man took charge and did exactly what this guy's trying to do. But he was violent, he was fierce, and he also took advantage of what was going on in the world in that time, which was on the heels of Hitler, on the heels of everything else. So it wasn't difficult for him to do what he did. So I have a personal vested interest in this kind of behavior. It bothers me. It makes my spidey detectors go up. I don't fucking like it, okay? Because if anything else, be kind. Just be kind, and I don't even see that. So my family is filled with both parties. Conservatives, liberals, moderates, black, white, just indigenous, African, European ancestors. I have straight, gay, transgender, non-binary, asexual, the entire letter community in my family. Friends, work, all of it. I have Christians, I have real Christians. I have evangelicals, I have fake Christians in my family. I have all religious, agnostic, atheists. I have people who have babies, people who don't have babies. Traditional people, people who are not traditional. Multiculturalism is at the seat of my identity, and it is everything that I do at work and everything that I do in my, it is me. It is me. So when I see things like this, it is personal, right? I take a very serious position with it because I see the damage it does when people mess with that, when people try to villainize that. Although I do not agree with all of my family's beliefs, people post things, they say things, I don't agree with all of it. And in fact, I actually am very pissed off about a lot of it, but I will advocate against the things that they say. I will protect the people that those things will harm. I will never, ever, ever cause violence or try to advocate violence against those people for saying that. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. This is all about the right for all of them to exist, coexist peacefully and safely, and to have their constitutional and civil rights protected under the law, period. So that is my chip on shoulder. I needed to get all of it the fuck off of my shoulder so that we can move on to the issue at hand. Do you guys have anything you want to say about that? Anything you want to add? Any comment, any feedback on any of it? Or any rebuttal?
Nah, I'm everything you said kind of. I mean, I'm pretty much in alignment with like that's right there.
Yeah.
That's the nicest way to say it. I agree. As someone who's protested before, and especially downtown, who met people who don't agree with I agree, and I wouldn't say almost get killed, but it could have happened because some dude had like an AR-15 in his truck looking for us. And he was hunting us now. Like, I'm gonna catch one of y'all slipping. But all of this sucks. It's terrible. I hate seeing it. But like you said, if you're American, so what?
Yeah.
You came looking for a better life. Who are we to stop you?
Yeah.
Period.
Like go after the gangsters, asshole. Like, do that.
And
I'm
you brought
happy
the
with
cartel.
That. Yeah.
The cartel that the U.S. created, that's our fault.
Yeah.
Right.
We did that.
Right. You have there's a systemic there's a community psychology aspect to this, which is that the things that people do, like walk 3,000 miles with your 3-year-old and cross a river that nobody
who the hell's gonna want to do that?
Right, like willingly doing this.
Right.
This was not a choice.
Like, we're upset when it's raining and we have to go to the store in America.
Exactly. Like these folks that did this didn't do it because it seemed like a good idea or because they wanted $400 in SNAP benefits. Or this, like, that's not a thing.
Yeah.
They did it because of what was horrifying where they were, because if they had their option, they would have stayed home to begin with. If they didn't actually choose this.
Right.
And the reason that it's not safe is because we went in
And screwed everything up.
20 years ago, 30 years ago, and destabilized those spaces. And then got mad that after what we left for the mess, that people tried to leave from those situations. We lose that.
Well, the humanity. And I think, like, there are consequences to everything that we do as a nation. We do a lot of great things and wonderful things, and that's why I served. But I also think that there's a ridiculousness in the idea that we get to treat people horribly who are working their asses off, going to school, flipping hamburgers, picking my fruit, and also being incredibly successful business people and professors and doctors and everything else under the sun, but you're going to come and drag them off because somehow, somewhere, something, right? These are not problematic people. Right. These are people you don't like. And you're specifically targeting them and then making excuses and pardoning other people. And that is where my chip comes from. Okay? That is where my chip comes from, because you're not going to tell me that what happened on the 6th, we're supposed to look at that some kind of way, and we're supposed to feel some kind of way about that and accept these forced pardons that have backfired, and yet you can't pardon a little 4-year-old who's in school, and you have to send in the scary Gestapo to get. Listen, okay, we're gonna calm me down, and we're gonna go into what we're gonna talk about.
I think you allude to the idea that we ignore systemic problems by making them individual problems.
Yeah.
And that allows us to target people who should who should never be targeted to begin with, because we don't want to deal with the bigger problem.
Yeah, and that's crazy. So now we're going to talk about some tips from us for you, for listeners, but for America, to take care of your mental health right now. That's going to be the first thing that we're going to talk about. And so we needed to let out why we're pissed off. We don't agree with any of this shit that's going on.
Nope.
And as healers and as helpers, I certainly don't agree with the way you're going about it, the way we're going about it. And as a veteran, I'm absolutely fucking horrified. And as a person who has law enforcement officers all up and down, and military people and veterans all up and down her family for years, I'm appalled that they're using any of them in that way. And I'm sorry, but if ICE can't do their job without ICE, I don't know why you need help to do your job, because the police sure as hell don't need you to do their job. So I don't get it. I see you, is all I have to say about this. And I see what it's doing to people, and that is why I'm angry. Because if you're doing this and it wasn't affecting anybody, well, hey. But it's affecting people. It's affecting our mental health. It's affecting our ability to function as a society. It's affecting our ability to just even be with our own family members who think differently. So we're going to get into some tips from us to you on how you can kind of take care of your mental health. I'll go down the list. You guys tell me yours. Tell me how you feel about this or what. That's
Okay.
because we're just gonna like kind of shoot from the hip here, you know.
Yeah.
All right. So first of all, if you're planning on attending a protest, a rally, a march on June 14th or any other time, please know that outside agitators are planning on causing trouble to give the government a reason. And by government, I don't mean the good guy governments, because we do have good guy governments right now fighting real fucking hard against this. But the bad guy government that we have, they're looking for a reason for excusing the use of excessive force, military, to illegally step up. Do not get baited into violence. We say this all the time in mental health to our clients. Don't get baited. Don't get baited, don't get baited, don't get baited on social media, don't get baited by your father, don't get baited by your boyfriend, don't get baited by your girlfriend. Don't do it. This is what we do, right, Nichole?
Yeah,
we show you what it looks like. We show you the difference between reacting and responding because that is what they're looking for.
That's right.
They want you to prove them right. So they're gonna hit that thing. The thing that's gonna make you feel like getting violent. That's the thing they're gonna go for, like ripping 4-year-olds out of school. That's what they're gonna do, getting police on horses to trample somebody. They're gonna do that to try to make you. So plan on that happening. Be prepared to respond to it with non-violence so that you can protect yourselves and other people. Normalize blocking, unfollowing, and muting people online to protect your fucking mental health. Stop scrolling one page after the other, because I'm telling you that all you're doing is re-traumatizing yourself. Reading it over and over and over, the next step, refreshing, is only causing you more despair. It's not changing anything. It's still going to happen. So I give myself an hour, and then I go watch cartoons or something or some old movie.
You can do a setting on your phone that will shut down your social media after so many minutes. So you can actually, if you feel like you can't modulate that yourself, which is perfectly understandable, set yourself up a way for this to be able to take over. I just was at an event last week. The speaker reminded us that humans haven't really evolved that much from a brain standpoint in the last 300,000 years or so. We haven't really actually done that much evolution. Our brains are not calibrated to take in the amount of information, the amount of horror stories, the amount of pressure,
the stimulation, the fear
that we are getting right now. We are meant to take care of our communities.
Yes.
That's who we are. So that idea of calming that down a little bit and taking a step back is because that is what you were meant to do. And it's not, there's nothing to be shameful about that, about needing to modulate. In fact, if you need to modulate, it's because you're not going to be able to show up otherwise. And you may do something silly, which we don't want you doing.
No, we don't want you doing. And remember that this is the point. I mean, there's no news outlet right now, no corporate news outlet right now that has a mission of informing you from an integrity, realistic position. They want the charge. They want you to be charged because that keeps you coming back. That's how they make money. Social media has, in essence, become what 24-hour cable was when I first started, and they were calling that like a thing, and that was right before 9/11 and all that. And that was also our brains not ready for that. And they did the same thing because I don't think whoever wasn't around back then probably doesn't know this, so I'm dating myself. It was the same thing. It was repetitive, over, shocking, more, bigger, louder, shit that we're not supposed to be seeing 24 hours a day. This volcano, that volcano, because now we have the cameras everywhere, and it's 24 hours, and it's the cruise. They were making money from that. They weren't trying to inform you. That was where this shift from real journalism happened into corporate media. That's when it started. And then when social media came along, these tech bros, they're just the next generation of the cable news people. They did it, and these guys took it to the next level. The psychology involved in that, back to mental health, has always been there. These people in this business, which is not journalism, it's fake news, it's corporate news. The point of it was not to inform you. The point of it was to get you riled up, get you hyped up, and psychologically addict you to all of this horror so that you can consistently be charged up. But what's happened now, people like Nichole and I are seeing the ramifications, the consequences of that. We're seeing it. We're seeing it by the person who's running this country,
right,
and the people he surrounds himself with. That's the product of.
Well,
that's
you're really talking about. I mean, it's marketing, right? It's what
Exactly.
we knew. It's what we knew about marketing, and
Yeah.
I'm old enough. You're old enough. These two are not old
Yeah.
enough. Where there was a period of time, once upon a time, where not only did you not have the internet, you could watch your television, but at about 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning, the colored bars would
Yep.
pop up on your television, and that was all she wrote.
The national anthem came on.
on.
Remember that?
Oh, I remember that.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and so that was the deal. Like,
Yeah.
even if you were drowning yourself in this stuff, at some point, it was over, and it forced you away.
Yeah.
There's nothing anymore to force us away.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's become another one of our big,
It is
problems.
designed social. First of all, corporate news and social media is not journalism. I cannot emphasize that anymore. That is not legitimate news. There is a mission and a purpose to what they're doing, okay? And it has always been. It used to be subliminal in the movie theaters when you watched the little, the little intermission things, and then they would pop, the cigarette ad in there. But now it's all in your face because they learned and they misused all of everything that we've learned in psychology,
Right.
and they're misusing it in ways that it was never intended to be used,
This
okay?
dates back to President Reagan.
Exactly.
So there was the required nonpartisan media presentation that had to be done.
Yeah.
When Reagan, I think is his first term, he rolled that bill back.
Yeah.
And that is the birth of the cable news network.
Yep,
That
yep.
is the birth of partisan television.
Yep.
That is the birth of all of that happens because we had a law in place. And so the
Yeah.
other thing, I know, we get this, the good old days or the way it used to be, which we all know that's false
Nonsense,
in and of
yeah.
itself. But also understanding that what was good about some of those periods, there were laws.
Yeah. There were lots.
That were controlling that. It wasn't that there were such and such a good people who went to the right kind of church or lived in the right kind of house, who had the right kind of spouses and the right kind of children. It had nothing to do with that at all. There were laws that prevented you from doing it.
And now it's like the wild, wild west. It's just not even, and all I'm seeing right now on social media is that these young guys like Zuckerberg and all the rest of them, when I was an executive director to a national organization, a national media organization in Washington, D.C., and they used to do advocacy about why are you purposely, portraying certain communities in the ways that you're doing in the news. We are those community people. Those were the journalists from all those different communities going to the news, to the 24-hour news people and saying, why are you doing this? This is harming us. This is what's going on. Change it. The only thing I can tell you as the executive director that went from with high-level journalists from CNN, everywhere. And I remember sitting with Roger Ailes, who ran Fox News. I remember we all sat there, and we all were talking to him about why this is dangerous, why this is problematic, how we need to change it, and this is how you do it, and this is what I was. And he didn't give two fucking shits. You know what he cared about? What's my bottom line? So we had to get smart. And you know how we started doing it? The national Hispanic journalist, the national black journalist, the LGBT journalist, every journalist that was not on his little payroll there had to figure out, go back, do homework, figure out how is this going to make him, how is he going to see that it's going to make him more money to not do this, so that he can do this thing that we need him to do. So it's like bartering with the devil, right?
Right.
And that's what they did. They went back, they figured out how are we going to show the numbers so that they can see this is actually profitable for them to not do this because we're the buyers, we're the spenders, we're the this, we're the that, we're the whatever. And once you were able to show this man this bottom line, then he was like, okay, fine. Then this is what we're going to do. He didn't care about the issue. Oh, no. He cared about the money. And that is where we are right now in social media. And that is what happened in the 24-hour news cycle. And you started to see the effects of the 24-hour news cycle in mental health back then. Yep. 9/11 is a clear thing. I'll never, ever, ever forget, because we didn't know any better, and we've talked about this before, how they replayed the burning of those buildings over and over and over and over again, and there were children in the room. who watch that over and over, and they don't know because their brains don't operate like adults because adults didn't know any better. And then they grew up and they had to go to therapists and counselors and everything and deal with this massive anxiety, this massive sense of all this stuff. And when we all figured it out, is because they didn't understand that it wasn't happening over and over and over and over and over again. They thought it was happening all day long, all night long, because it was on TV over and over with all the channels, as opposed to they saw it once and then it's just traumatized. Then you have that. But no, it was, so we know from that there's nothing good comes out of switching and going back and forth between all your different social media outlets to see the same thing being said by the same people back and forth, back and forth. So we're gonna move on. Normalize blocking, unfollowing, muting people online to protect your mental health. I'm not saying don't be informed. I'm just saying be smarter than them. Do not scroll endlessly and without intention on social media or watch the corporate news. I'm going to say this, and I don't care how much backlash I get, because I am in South Carolina, and this seems to be the thing here is Fox News. Never will I understand why people buy into that nonsense of Fox News. It's not even news. It's entertainment, and it's ugly. It's just fucking ugly, and it keeps you ignorant. You know, I don't get it, but hey, whatever. That's who you trust. Fox News is the #1 complicit corporate company and the fakest of all the fake news, of all corporate news. And I'm sorry, but that's my personal opinion, and I see the ramifications that come from that. However, they're not alone in this.
No.
Both sides do the same damn thing. So everybody's complicit in this. None of it is real journalism, and I just cannot emphasize that again. Find trustworthy, unbiased, and professional independent journalists. Find those people. Find historians, like we've always talked about, and sociologists, man. Yep. They're people. The sociologists are you fucking people. Yep. Find them. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like, I definitely agree with everything as far as social media and how that can really dictate how people think. And also, too, it's kind of like we live in a day and age where, like, we can curate everything. Like, you can curate everything from what you watch, the posts that you want to interact with, the shows, like the music, like everything is curated. So it's kind of like, for the kids now that this is all they know, because I know my generation was like maybe the last ones to remember what life was like before.
Yeah.
And now we're in it. So we're like that middle child.
Yeah.
But it's like now it's so crazy because of the advancement of technology and how people could get caught up, and in how, like you were saying, with social media posts where people can post something that they know they're going to get a big backlash for,
And probably be fake.
Exactly. And then you're arguing like that, like you were saying, it'll set you off, start your morning like, man, what? I can't believe this person just posted this. And it's like,
We was cool, man.
yeah, and it's like 85 comments, and you're just like going through it like, oh, I can't believe. And then before you know it, oh, I'm late for work.
Yeah, for real.
And more importantly, your entire disposition is off. Your mental health is frazzled.
Yep.
You're emotionally dysregulated, and you're pissed.
Yep.
Which is never a good thing.
Well, and I think that
Guilty.
and I think that there's a thing here to be said about, like, if all of your media, right, all looks the same, sounds the same, is not introducing any ideas that challenge you, you are in an echo chamber.
Yep.
And that is exactly what, and sometimes you don't know it, right? There's ways to turn off what tracks you on social media. I've done a bunch of work with this because of stalking issues and things where I work with DV people.
Yeah.
But I think that this is really, really important that we deal with this idea of what your echo chamber looks like and who you're listening to. And I say this as a white woman. I tell people, like, if you don't have journalists of color in your media feed, then you're in an echo chamber. If you don't have queer people and you're a straight person, and like if you're not listening to that, something has to be done. You need to do it yourself.
Right.
You have to do it yourself, but we don't know that it's happening.
Yeah.
It's now so automatic for everybody that they're not aware of it. So you really have to clue in to like, is everybody looking just like me and sounding just like me on the page? Because that can't be right.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
And to piggyback off of you, like you said, seeing posts on social media or on TV and just going to work mad.
Yeah.
that's been me for the past couple months because of, not gonna say where I work, but who I work with.
Right.
And I know they voted for that dude, and they don't care.
Right.
So sometimes, I'm gonna be honest, it's hard for me.
It's very hard. Yeah.
Just not.
Yeah.
I can't get a new job.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna give you some tips on how to manage that. I mean, because
I'd be ready to fight people at work.
and that is the point. And so here's
because I know who they voted for.
Yeah.
Right.
And yeah.
And that's wrong. I know it's
And
wrong.
even if at the time they thought something different of that person, by this point, if you're actively looking for real information, you will know that that was not the best decision. And you should have some sort of ability to see that. And if you're choosing not to, then this is the point that I'm going to make later that's going to help you deal with these people, and Nichole will back me up on that. Anyway, pick a time of day, limit your intake, then do self-care behaviors afterwards. Like, I literally pick a moment, I read everything, I check what my trusted people, my non-trusted people I see, blah, 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 I cut it off, and then I go watch gardening videos because that soothes me. But whatever it is, do that. Remain peaceful at all times. You have to be mindful and have intention on walking away and taking a time out if you get angry with these people. You have to. This is not even an option. If you prioritize your mental health and you tell yourself, my mental health is more important, it will become second nature for you to do this thing that they say in the Latino community, especially Puerto Ricans and Dominican. My mother used to love it. Sácale el cuerpo. Xiomara, mira, sácale el cuerpo. And it's really weird to translate that because it kind of literally translated means take their body out, get rid of their body or some shit like that. And I was like always when I was a kid going, what the hell kind of saying is that? Really what she's saying is, you know those people that can just act like you don't exist, like you seriously don't, and they can do anything and everything around you to try to get a rise out of you, but you literally walk around unfazed, but you know inside you're not. But you walk. There is nothing that upsets a person more than feeling ignored, unheard. This is what our job is.
Yes.
Everybody that's unheard, feeling ignored, feeling uncared for. This is what causes the most harm in people when we do that. So when these people that should not be doing that are doing that, sácale el cuerpo. You literally have to behave like they don't even exist. That is your only way to take care of your mental health. That is how my mother did it. That is what she modeled, and I cannot tell you how amazing it feels when you master that. You have to master it. It's not something that happens overnight, and you will fuck up a lot of times, but that has to be your goal.
Yeah.
That has to be your goal.
I think you have to ask yourself, I always try to get my clients to ask them, like, is this your bag to carry?
Yeah.
They've brought it to you and they're throwing that down. They're throwing down their nasty politics, their biases, their xenophobia, their homophobia, their racism, whatever it is. If they're throwing it down, is it yours to pick up and carry? Because as soon as you engage with them, you just picked up their bag.
Yep.
You absolutely just picked up their bag. Is it yours? And do you want it?
Yeah.
Because there are times, I will say as the middle-aged white woman in the room, where I have a certain amount of privilege. My risk of engaging with that particular bag is wildly different from everybody else's. And while I believe that we have to monitor our own mental health and take care of things, there is also an amount of obligation if you have privilege that you need to be aware of.
Yeah.
And that you need to utilize in the name of the fact that others around us are far more burdened by what is happening than we are. And so sometimes we can carry that bag a little bit, and we can walk those people back, and we maybe have a little bit more of an obligation to do it than other folks.
Yeah. And you also have, unfortunately, there are some of us who actually have more influence on changing minds than others. We just do. Like, I'm not the white lady in the room, but I'm the person that passes. And when people see me and they don't want to believe that I'm not like them, I will pass and I will get that privilege. And it has happened all my life in my family. I am the one with the light. I had the blonde hair. I had the light hair. I had the light skin. I had the whatever. So they're more comfortable around me. So if I argued about something, it was a lot different than if my cousin who represented everything that somebody, it's a different charge. Okay, so do not argue with, respond to, or acknowledge anyone online who is baiting you. Don't do it. When social media first started, that was the thing. Everybody all over the world was arguing with each other, informing each other, teaching each other. Nobody ever in the history of freaking social media has ever been on social media so that you can change their mind or they can change your mind. None of them. Nobody goes on there, not even me. I'm not going to go on there and you're not going to convince me I'm wrong.
Right.
It's not going to happen. I'm not going to listen to you. You're not going to do it. So nobody ever in the history of social media has ever had their mind changed by something they read, somebody they argued about. Never. They've done studies on this. Never, ever, ever. It doesn't happen. So don't put your energy there. Don't take that bait. The same thing for in person. There are people, like I said, with my family, I have like some real staunch Republicans who will not acknowledge. And then I have others who do. They acknowledge what's right and wrong. And do I argue with them online? No. You know what I do? I hold them accountable when they say something that is personally offensive to me and they know I'm on there. Then I'll say, you know what? That really sucked that you said that because I'm that person. And if you're not respecting me and how then I'm going to have to please tell me what you meant because I don't want to not be whatever. And then they'll, backtrack or whatever. Some of them won't. Right. But you know what? That's why unfriend is your friend. You control you. Just control you. Don't argue. Same for anyone in person. Like I said, do not try to inform, educate, change their minds, or defend yourself to them. Don't do it. Stop thinking that this is a real thing. It does not exist. People who want their minds changed are educated, open-minded individuals, and I'm going to say it like me and you, who sit in a room and have hard conversations with people that are literally wanting to understand, and they still don't walk away agreeing with us. Right. But they were able to sit down and see and listen and whatever without all this nonsense. Those are the people that you want to try to educate. That's how cultural competency and mental health came about. That's how multicultural counseling came about, because we had to have those hard-ass conversations. Researchers had to be on our side. The statistics had to show it. The science had to show it. But people were legitimately interested in understanding why we think this is a big deal, because they didn't. And then eventually, most of them were able to, not all of them. Those are the people you want to have conversations with. You don't want to talk with the guy around the corner with those 10 flags that... You don't want to talk to that. That guy has no interest, no desire to any of it. And they don't deserve you. They don't deserve you. So they're not there for that. And you do not have the power to anyway. I think that is the biggest takeaway right now. Recognize the power that you have and that you don't have. You do not have the power to make a bigot not be a bigot. You do not have the power to make a person who thinks that what ICE is doing right now is okay change their mind into feeling it's not okay. You and I do not have that power. So what do we have the power? We have a lot of power. That's just not where we have that power. So fuck them. Let them think what they want to think. Let them think what they want to be. Now, what they do is different. If they behave certain ways, that's different. But let people think whatever the hell they want to believe. They're not there for that. So instead, find people who think accurately, people who are clear thinkers, people who are common sense thinkers, people who are good thinkers, people who want to be informed, people who are genuinely concerned about why you feel the way that you do and care, people who think critically. Those are the people that you want to try to talk to. Those are the ones. What do you think?
I think that's true. And I also think one of the things that happens right now, and has happened with media, but it is also happening all around us, because it feels like it's everybody. Mm-hmm. And while we're talking about those people you can source for information, one of the people I read regularly is someone named Heather Cox.
Oh, me too. She is there's an ongoing joke in my house with Theo, because my niece, Theo, used to do the thing that I just said you shouldn't be doing, right? Everybody, we know that. It's common knowledge. And it made them unwell. It made them unwell. There was a crisis. There was a situation. There was a thing. And we have now used that to redirect it. And one of the things that I turned her on to is that it's not that you can't manage this information. It's you're looking at you're in the wrong place. Right. These are the kind of people. And now that's the person that they listen to and they read, because they tell you all the ugly without being scary and ugly.
They do.
And they tell you all the good.
Today, this morning, she put out information about a Quinnipiac poll. So this is a very well-sourced, this is a long-standing Quinnipiac poll that's been around forever. And in these approvals of these areas that concern us a great deal, immigration, trade, tariffs, economy, etc., those that approve, I think the highest number was 46%. Most of the numbers of approval were 38%, 34%. So, y'all, that's 3 or 4 people out of every 10. That's not anywhere near the majority. And when we're talking about what's happening and we're talking about who we find and who we can surround ourselves with, we are seeing and hearing those 3 people.
Yeah.
And we're seeing and hearing those 3 people. One of the things we talk about in therapy is what's real.
Yeah.
And what am I perceiving? We are seeing and hearing those 3 people like they're the 6 and the 7 people, but they're not. We are. We are the 6 and 7 people who are saying, no, I don't want to see 4-year-olds deported. I do not want to see restaurants broken into.
I did not sign up for this.
Right. Like
this is appalling.
I didn't sign on to do any of these things. I don't want this going on. I do want the children in Gaza fed. I do want stabilization in our world. That is actually most of us.
Yeah, that is absolutely most of us.
And remembering that is really important to your wellness because
it really is.
It does become isolating.
Yeah.
You are seeing it everywhere and you're thinking there is no one. There's no one on my side. There is no one that we do. This is something we hear all the time too. People are isolated and lonely and nobody understands. That's not actually the perception.
Yeah.
But it's the story that folks want us to know.
Yeah.
Because if we think that way, we will be quiet. And I don't mean in the civilized way that Xiomara was just talking about. I mean, we will sit down.
Yeah.
We will not do what we need to do to fight back that darkness. And that's not real. Most of us see this as
and
wrong.
these people know that. It's not by accident. They know this. This is a playbook. This is history. This is not. This is, like I said, it happened in my father's little teeny tiny country in like the 50s. You know, like, so this is not new. It's happened over and over again, and that is how it happened. That is exactly how it happened. So find healthy, effective, and constructive outlets. Contact your representative in Washington. Leave a voicemail or send a message online. Be polite and confident. Contact your state representatives and do the same. That works better than anyone understands ever. They do not understand that has more power than anything that you post on Facebook. That has more power than anything ever that you're going to do. It has more power even if they're on his side. Enough of you call them. I lived it. I lived it. I worked it. I know. I've seen it work. There is nothing scarier to a politician than to get more phone calls about, I don't like this, than I do like this. They're never going to get more phone calls of, I like what you're doing, I'm doing. Never, ever. But if the people who don't like it don't call, it's going to feel like it.
That's right.
But that's not the way it works, I'm telling you. So, and it's easy to do. You don't need to protest. You don't need to do anything like that. Call these people and understand. There's a few things for your own mental health for you to understand so that you don't think that this is hopeless because it seems like it's hopeless. Believe me, that having 3 branches of government the way that we have it is a safety for us. It is. The executive office is out of control, but they can't function without the other 2. And the judicial system, in my opinion, is running this country right now. They're the ones running the country. And Capitol Hill, Congress, they're in the middle doing what they're doing. However, what people don't understand is that beyond Washington, D.C., because that's all we see on the news, and that's all we hear on the news, and that's all we read about. They're a small amount of people compared to the thousands and thousands of elected and appointed officials across the United States, all the way around. Each state has thousands of elected, local, like state-wise, everywhere. So it's like, stop thinking only about the two senators out in Washington, and then I'm not even going to mention their names because I'm so embarrassed about my South Carolina representative who I called and had a big conversation with. I was, as a veteran, that was not, Anyway, they're not the only ones. Then when you're done calling them, call all your local representatives, all of your appointed and official. They're everywhere. You look it up, you Google it, they're everywhere.
So you can Google it. There's also a great tool, especially for the national level. If you're not aware, there's something called 5calls.org.
Oh, great.
So it's the number 5, wordcalls.org. And if you look up 5calls.org, 5 calls not only organizes and sorts for you.
Yeah.
Because you, by the way, don't have to call your own representative.
Yeah.
Because remember, they vote as a block for what affects this entire country.
Yes.
So when I know that there are 8 waffling members of a certain party that may not vote for this bill, I want my 5 calls to go to those 8 people. 5 of those 8 people, obviously, I can do the math. But make sure that I'm talking to them.
Yeah.
Because I need them to know that I disapprove and that's what's that I'm going to make sure that I influence things in their state, because you can do that.
Yeah.
But 5 calls organizes and says that these are the things that are about to get voted on.
Yeah.
These are the things that are going on. This is how you have this conversation. They will even provide you a script to do it, so you can leave the message. So there's a lot of guidance, and there's a lot of guardrails on that that can help you feel more empowered to do it.
And that's the point of it, because it sounds like it's political. Again, it kind of is, but we're talking about how you manage your mental health
Right.
and how it affects your mental health. So that gives you power. People have more power than they recognize that they have.
Yeah.
The fact that people are protesting has more power. The fact that now there's more protests than there were before this asinine move in California just tells me, this is you at your weakness. You're doing this at your weakness in California, thinking that somehow is going to prevent California from doing whatever. And now you've negatively affected the mental health and well-being of so many people across the United States, then now the problem that you thought you were putting out over there is now bigger. So what are you going to do? Send the it's a thing. So find and join small groups or national groups to contribute to effective change actions. It does not have to be national all the time. It can be local. Do not argue with neighbors or anyone else who has zero power. Do not argue with people who have zero power. The person at your job, zero power. The people at your job, zero power. They don't argue with them. They have no power. You know what they have? A whole lot of jibber jabber.
That's it.
And the
Too
vote.
much.
And you have a vote. And they have a vote. But jibber jabber, that's not power. That's not them changing.
It's not.
No. But they're trying, or they're not caring about the one person in the room who they think doesn't have power. But you do. And your power is them not affecting you. You still doing your thing. You're not there to change their minds. Who cares what the fuck these people think? I don't even want to be sitting next to people who think that that's normal, much less talk to you.
Right.
Like, I have zero tolerance for that, but I get the gravity of they can talk and they can think and they can believe all they want. You know what they cannot do? Try to legislate that shit against people and hurt them. That's where then I use the power that I have to do the things that I can do. But changing their minds, there's no power in that. There's no power in that. And it is not the point. It's personal. It hurts you. It bothers you. It's offensive. That part is true. And that's your mental health. So how do you take care of your mental health? You don't be around people like that if you don't have to. You put your headphones on. You don't
Trust me, I do.
acknowledge them. You don't take them seriously. How stupid do you sound?
A lot of them are dumb.
You know, like you're just dumb.
And that's my response. I'm like,
yeah, you're dumb. Like, don't,
man,
don't.
you're stupid.
Like, don't.
And I'd say also,
don't engage.
Yeah.
you need an outlet.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at Ant because I see like this is happening at this is the place where you have to spend most of your day surrounded by rhetoric that is hurtful, that is painful, that is affecting your wellness. You are entitled to, you are worth finding something else that helps you release that in a way that is good for you. And so that also means, it does not mean you go have a drink after work, because I'm going to tell you right now.
That don't work.
It doesn't work. And too many times with too much of that information, then you're needing 2 drinks, and then you're needing 6 drinks, and then we've got another problem.
Yeah.
And that doesn't solve anything. So it's taking a look.
Also, alcohol's a depressant. Let's just mention that.
Yes, alcohol's a depressant. It's not. It's not going to help you.
Yeah.
But finding something that is constructive, that is an outlet, whether that is going to the gym, or whether that is drawing or writing or any of these things that
Music. That's working for you right now.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the music. I say this and I mean it. Sometimes it's something really, really big. My oldest child has an undergraduate degree in art. She has a BFA, Bachelor's of Fine Arts. She's a painter. She just graduated 2 weeks ago from law school.
Oh.
And I bring it up for a very specific reason. That child enrolled in law school after she and I went to a George Floyd protest right here in North Charleston. She's not from here. She was living with me to start an art business, she thought. We started protesting together. We had an incident with a particular protest, and that particular protest imbued in her the power to say, the thing I need to do about this is I need to get involved. She's going to be a defense attorney in the 5 boroughs in New York to take care of because of what she saw and what she experienced. So when I say you need to find an outlet, it is sometimes not just the music or the weightlifting or the artwork or anything. Sometimes it's you take yourself back to law school or you take yourself to go get a doctorate in clinical mental health counseling. You do some things that feel for you. Like you are going to make that impact, and you remember that we don't have power to deal with, we don't want to deal with the nonsense of those people, but you can do really real good in the world. Inspired by the nonsense.
Let it inspire you. Let it be the thing
I was probably there at the protest too.
You probably will.
Was that downtown Charleston?
It was North Charleston. It was Montague.
What a girl.
Were you there too?
I heard about that one.
Yeah,
I live in North Charleston, so trust me, I know.
So that's a great example. I think the other thing is also, like you were talking about, JRoc, how you have to find also if you're online, you have to find the people, even if you're going to be online and you can't get off, then instead of scrolling through the people who are doing all the bad, go find all the people who are doing all the good. Like, go find the helpers, right? That's always my thing after a disaster. But in this is a clear example because of the people I curate and I follow online. There's an attorney who's an immigration attorney, and she's married to another attorney, and they do all this immigration work, and she's fabulous at doing educational stuff and whatever, and she is rocking and rolling on this, but it is exhausting, right, for immigration lawyers right now, attorneys. And you know what she just posted the other day, which was like, you see, that's what I'm talking about, and that's what we do in our field. She just posted, and she was kind of crying. She goes, when other attorneys who are not immigration attorneys call you to ask you to train them so that they can do immigration. To me, that is the epitome of the people that you want to follow. So I don't follow her so she can tell me all the dirt what's going on. She's doing work, and then she occasionally is angry. But like, you want to hear these things, because that just made all my little hairs go out when I heard her say that. What that says to me is that regular old attorneys who are doing taxes and realty and whatever the hell else have said what you just said that your daughter did. And they were like, wait a minute, hold on. And they call her to say, teach us, webinar me, teach me what I need to do, and we will form a cadre of attorneys who can now do more, and we can do what you're doing now, which makes sense, right? So that would be like counselors calling us and saying, and which has happened, teach us how to do this multicultural stuff. Teach us how to do this cultural competence stuff. Teach us how to do this LBGT, teach us, because we want to help those people, because that's not anywhere within what their little area was in. And we did, and we do. And now they advocate. So you don't have to have always been there. You can help the people who are at the forefront in any kind of way. And if you don't want to learn how to do it, then you know what you're going to do? You're going to file their papers for them. Or if you can't file their papers for them, you're going to do their social media for them. Or you're going to do cut and paste and put it on yours for your people. Like, you don't always have to be the big heavy. You can be the little person behind and do little things.
And, and two things can be true at once. Right? So you can be a helper and you can need help.
Yes, two things.
Those two things are not mutually exclusive.
That's correct.
That's what mutual aid is about.
And that is what I saw in her when she did that. It's like, I got help, and I am the helper, and I'm just so proud of my and I loved it. So
that's beautiful.
And it's the attorneys from all walks of life. It wasn't even like the Latino ones only. It was everybody. Like the Southern guys were there with their Southern drawls, and like the New Yorkers were there. Like, it was great. It was great. All right, so Know Your Rights Protest Edition. I got this off of the internet, so I don't know, because I didn't put here, I'll put it in the show notes, who the actual creator of this is. Okay. But it was not me. All right. So you have the right to peacefully protest. Don't ever let any rhetoric that person whose name we do not mention around here, or anybody tries to tell you that somehow or another that's criminal, or that they can in full force come after you or anything, that is just bullshit. You have the right to peacefully protest, and that is not the same as being anti-American and rioting and all that. You have the right to peacefully protest. Yes, you can wear a mask. Trump's tweets aren't law. Right. Trump's tweets are not law. Is he still fucking tweeting?
It's like a different app he uses.
Okay, whatever. He's online. He's online sending shit. Okay. Yeah. Okay. You can wear a mask. You can film the police in public. And I will say this as somebody who respects the police but also understands that there's a whole dark world side to it. Do not provoke the police. Because not only are you provoking the bad guys who we don't want, but then there's the good guys that are trying to do good shit, and then we're getting in their way. Don't do that. Don't do that. You can film the police in public. Don't interfere with their work, though. Don't do that. Don't do that. They need a warrant to search your phone. Lock it. Sharpie your emergency contact on your arm. Yep. If detained, I'm remaining silent, I want a lawyer. That's it. That's all you say, if detained. Don't argue, don't fight, don't call them assholes, don't do that. Bring water, ID, and a charged phone. Leave the drama. Leave the drama, leave the drama. Don't engage with agitators. I'm probably going to say that a gazillion times tonight. Do not engage with agitators. Don't do it, don't do it, do it. Stay focused on your mission, there's nothing that agitates an agitator more than if they're saying, you fucking pig, you, what is it, you illegal, go back home or whatever, and you being able to say, I have the right to protest, and just keep walking, it doesn't even matter. Just do it, I'm telling you. Don't engage. Your voice matters. Show up loud and be proud. Just be safe and be smart about it. We're going to talk about media consumption next, but is there anything else that anybody wants to add?
I wanted the phone.
Yeah.
Because I have this newly minted lawyer in my life who is big into, I call her my Fourth Amendment warrior. So this is your search and seizure kind of thing that goes on. If you're going to take your phone, if you're going to take your actual phone, take your face recognition off of everything.
Oh, I know that.
Because law enforcement cannot technically make you unlock your phone. But if they hold you and that phone unlocks because it sees your face,
that's different.
They're going to go through it. And the deal is that may be a Fourth Amendment violation. It may be a violation of your constitutional rights, and I'm going to tell you they're going to violate it because also asking officers to understand things that lawyers don't, while there is political rhetoric that says they don't have to listen to those laws anymore, asking a lot of them to extend that level of empathy to some. To others, they know they're going to get away with this because very often when we have an illegal search and seizure, there is then a court, there's a conversation where they say, we would have found this out anyway, we would have done this anyway, and then all that evidence that they just got from you stays in. So if you are going to bring your phone, lock your apps, make sure it's only numbers, remove temporary, everything's in the cloud anyway, right? Remove the ones that could be problematic for you. Best case scenario, get yourself a burner phone, a flip phone, something like that. If you're going to take a phone at all, and I'll tell you what, I'm going to be there on Saturday, and I will not be there with my phone because I'm not letting anybody into that particular pice of information. I'll have my Sharpie number on my arm anyway, and they're not getting their hands on it. I'd say be wary about the phones these days because they are getting confiscated a lot. And those rules for protest do not apply to border security.
Yes, that's correct.
TSA or to ICE.
That's correct. All right, so media consumption, thank you. Media consumption. Do not believe everything you read on social media. And what corporate news is reporting. I can just say this so much.
We're gonna have to turn that into an auto-tune song. JRoc and Ann, I want to hear a song afterwards that's auto-tune. Xiomara, it's
I'm down.
Just her repeating.
God.
I can feel it.
It's just because I've just seen people's minds be ruined over this. Watch what people on the ground are reporting and showing you. That's what you want to see. The LA shit. Watch the people in LA actually, the people that are sitting drinking their coffee and saying, what the hell are they talking about? We're here dancing to the mariachi. It's like, what is this that they're showing you in Washington? Those are the people. And I tell you this because during the first administration, when his first disaster where he failed miserably happened, which was Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico. Oof. And Puerto Rico was, I don't even know how they survived it. And they had a woman in charge. We talked about this, how that's how Nasty Lady t-shirts came from. So they had a woman governor. And I love her. I would have married her. But anyway, so she was in charge. She went toe-to-toe. She was like AOC with him. She was toe-to-toe with him, and he could not stand it. Said, oh, that nasty lady. So then she started wearing a T-shirt. Nasty lady, nasty woman. But anyway, I lost my train of thought. What I was saying. Oh, when Hurricane Maria came around, and the absolute disgusting lack of leadership, absolute horrifying, inhumane way that it was managed, and people died and animals died, and it was just like watching some crazy thing happen. You would think that this didn't belong to the United States. Like, oh my God, is this the United States? When that happened, they kind of showed you that was like the way that they were trying to portray what was going on in Puerto Rico was not true. But if you saw it, especially here in South Carolina, where they're just going to show what he wants you to see, and then all my family and friends and people in Puerto Rico were showing something else, and you were seeing what we call Spanish language media, showing you the reality, which was the complete opposite of everything that they were trying to make you believe was going on in Puerto Rico with Hurricane Maria. Is the same thing that they just did in Los Angeles. So they show you this one little teeny tiny problematic incident situation and then tell you that it's like it's on fire. And in Puerto Rico, they showed you this one little area where they did like something nice and good with, but then they didn't show you that the rest of the fucking state was under appalling crisis, children dying, people dying, everything, and no food, no this, and he's acting like everything's fine. So it's the same playbook, and I'm telling you, watch with the people who are literally on the ground doing and watching and living the experience. Those are the people that you want to listen to and watch what they're saying is going on, not the rest of us here, okay?
Yeah. Civics lesson for everybody at home. Puerto Rico, a territory of the United States. My favorite Leonard Bernstein line ever, which is from West Side Story,
citizens,
is when they are talking about the Puerto Rican women are singing in New York about how everybody's leaving Puerto Rico, and there is the line that says most people and most people in America don't know that Puerto Rico is in America. That's how the end of that line. It's like most people don't actually.
Is America.
Right. It's 80 years ago, we were having the line, we're still having the conversation. This is citizens.
We're going to talk about the hard stuff right now.
Oh,
and we're going to go to the mental health implications of it, okay? So this, for me, is very personal, because this is the military situation, this is the police situation, there's all of that. So I'm reading, and I'm going to show the reference to it of where this content is coming from. I do not want to mention it on the podcast, but I will put it down in the show notes. While Trump has tanks rolling through D.C. for his authoritarian parade, in my opinion, people are taking to the streets everywhere else for No King's Day, right? With nearly 2,000 events planned. Is that correct? Nationwide. This will be the single largest protest against this administration. I'm not protesting for different reasons, because as a 9/11 survivor, there's a whole thing about that, right? So I don't want to do that, but I am supporting it in other ways. All right, so raids and military force are being unleashed on immigrant communities and peaceful protesters, and while Trump throws himself $100 million parade, which happens to be on his birthday, but he's using the Army as an excuse. And it's appalling as a military Army veteran to me, okay? There's mixed feelings about that for me, but that's a whole different situation. If someone knocks on your door and asks about your Spanish-speaking neighbors, quote unquote, ask for a business card and tell them, nope, no Spanish speakers that I know of, just Nazis. I'm totally kidding. They're around. They're going to do it. Don't be intimidated by it. And you don't know any Spanish-speaking neighbors, okay? Because I'm a Spanish-speaking neighbor. I am a Spanish-speaking neighbor, so who are you fucking talking about here? Like, who are you talking about? Like, what are you doing? Like, Anyway, for the benefit of your mental health, understand that these protests in LA, they're being used to try to seize more power. That's just all there is to it. This is not about leadership. This is about power. This is about control. This is about a whole lot of things. A former history teacher, if you go online and you see they're also your friends, the history teachers, Those are the people you want to talk to. Autocrats, this is what they do. It's a wake-up call. It is what it is. But did we not see this coming? I know we all saw this coming. This was not something we did not see coming.
Yeah. We warned people.
Is it perfectly normal to threaten a governor of a state in the United States because you don't agree with them, they don't agree with you? That is not normal. How are you normalizing this? The fact that you are normalizing this is detrimental to my mental health, because that means pretty soon you're going to be normalizing a lot of stuff that should not be normalized.
There was one senator today that got arrested.
Yeah, there's one that did, and now there's a whole rigmarole about it. But it's I guess what I'm trying to say is that this is little by little by little taking control and eroding what we see as norms. That's not normal. For grown men online to be insulting each other is not normal. Right. Elon and this is what people are in therapy to learn how to not do, because it's not normal, it's not healthy, it's dysfunctional. You don't run your household like that. Why would you run a country like that? Public displays of absolute disgusting insults. What is that? Do I really want somebody running my country and my programs and my people who talks to people like that?
But somehow a woman is not good enough to be president.
Yeah. So what does that do?
We're too emotional.
We're too emotional. But you get to talk to people like that, but you don't like people yelling at you that they're mad at you about something. Like the contradiction and the Darvoing there. The Darvo the Darvo. I forget what the acronym stands for. Let's see if I can remember. Deny that it's you. Attack the other person.
Reverse
the victim
and offender.
And the offender. So I'm not the perpetrator, you are.
Oh, so gaslighting.
Yeah.
So Darvo is a very complex version of gaslighting.
Yeah.
Okay. Where it basically boils down to, I didn't do it, it didn't happen, that's deny.
So question your reality.
If I did do it,
it's your fault.
You made me do it, that's attack. And then, I did do it and you made me do it, and the truth of the matter is I actually wasn't ever going to say anything about this, but I'm actually the victim because you were the person that was guilty all of the time.
Yep.
So this
it's like a brainwashing.
This is a super common domestic violence tactic.
Yep.
That happens. You see this in. There was a particular actor who's been known to be a pirate who I used to like very much.
Oh,
I can no longer in any way tolerate because I watched Darvo happen between him and his fiance is what she was when he mastered the Darvo. She sued him, got the guts to say something, and then all of a sudden he was the victim. And if you talk to people who would say that they know what Darvo is and know how to act, they will say, "Oh, poor guy."
Masterclass.
Poor guy. It was a masterclass.
Yeah, I hated the whole thing. I'm like, y'all do know he's not a good person.
Right.
I was saying that before that trial even started. I'm like, he's not a good dude at all.
So it's an absolute masterclass. But when you watch the spectacle, the disgusting, embarrassing spectacle with the three of them in the White House and the attack that our vice president and our president made to a man who's actively at war.
Yeah.
Like, that is a masterclass on what an abuser looks like.
Yes,
that is the masterclass right there. If you want to see what we see every day with victims of domestic violence, victims of abuse, of financial abuse, of all kinds of stuff, that is your masterclass. What you saw go on there is a masterclass of what in a narcissistic, and I'm not talking about narcissistic tendencies. I'm not talking about that. I am talking about a dark triad, which includes the disorder of malignant narcissist, which is different from being narcissistic and having traits and all that, because everybody thinks everybody's narcissistic right now, which, I have a chip on my shoulder about with that. Yeah. But that was a masterclass on how those people operate. And that response that they got from him was excellent, on point, and perfect of how you need to respond to that kind of thing. That's what's happening right now on different levels. That's what Los Angeles is right now. Masterclass on, I get to do and say and be the biggest bully on the planet against you, but the minute you step up against me, here's what's going to happen. And it's all going to be your fault. Right. Your people are going to suffer, and then it's going to always be that you could have prevented this. Masterclass. So,
and I think if that's your background, if you have what we call intimate partner violence now, IPV in your life, you've seen it, you've engaged with it, you've been in those relationships, and you suddenly find yourself unable to tolerate these kinds of political discourse, that is a self-check for you, and it is okay to take yourself out. I will admit, as an IPV survivor, that I watched very little and listened to none. I read captions of that particular interaction because as soon as I saw it, everything in my body changed. I could feel that trigger coming on. I do not listen to that person's voice. I only read things because there is a pattern to those abusive behaviors that
it only escalates. It only escalates.
And we are in the pattern, and it is in our greater world, in our politics every day. And I think if that's your story, you can still be involved. I'm going to protest on Saturday because that's how I can walk in the world. But I will never watch the debate that he was in because I can't do that voice and I can't do those patterns.
It's very triggering.
It is okay to modulate yourself like that for your own well-being, for your own mental health. And if you're with somebody who needs to do that, it's check that. Check.
If you tolerate it, what does that say about you? How do you tolerate when you know the number one thing to understand here is that it doesn't matter what the politics are here. It doesn't matter. What should matter is the cruelty that's going on, the absolute lack of empathy, the absolute bullying. You cannot have a normal conversation with a person about how you disagree with them, but those are your people. That governor is your person. They represent they're not American. They are an American. Citizens serving their country. So if you don't like them and you don't like their politics, that's perfectly fine. You can have absolute arguments with them. What you cannot do is threaten them and insult them and bully them so the rest of us can watch you do this. And then you know what that says to me? If you're fucking doing that to the governor of the largest, richest state in my country, what's going to happen to me?
Who are
What's
we?
going to happen to little me when I'm on a podcast calling you a bully if ever there was a diagnostic impression to be made on someone, the dark triad, he epitomizes that to me. He is the epitome of a dark triad, which we will talk about on another podcast because it's a little complicated, but he is the epitome of what that is. And it's scary that people choose to not see that because it is no longer, I didn't see it in him. You're choosing at this point to not see that in him because all you need to do is watch him talk once. And you know this is an unkind, absolutely unhinged, really, really scary kind of guy. And you wouldn't want that guy hanging out with your wife if you love your wife. You know you wouldn't. Or with your child.
Hanging out with my child. I was going to say.
With your child. You know it because if nothing else, he is malignant. He's that guy that everybody talks about. Don't get in that. You know this. Why are you making? That's not a leader. A leader is insulting people who are at war. A leader is calling people. Listen, I can go on about this, but it makes me angry because I myself, and I'll tell you in full disclosure, the thing with the National Guard, I had to have a whole emergency session with my VA mental health guy over this because that is the trigger for me was the National Guard. And the reason for that is because as a 9/11 survivor, when I finally got out, if anybody understands how the Pentagon is shaped, there are no windows, there are all these rings, you're in the middle, how do you get out, all this kind of stuff. And then there's this one floor down at the bottom that is just for commercial. And then from that, there's escalators that go all the way the hell down for you to catch the train that's going to take you out of there, either to Virginia or DC, right? That was my day, right? Trying to get out so I'm not burned by an airplane, right? So when I finally got out, I was panicked. The other plane was existing. We don't know where it was. Was it over there? Was it going to hit this? Was it going to? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to another target. I didn't know that the Twin Towers were down yet. And the first sight was the National Guard. When I got out of that deep, dark train and I came up and I saw the National Guard. The only thing that kept me sane and finally made me feel that we weren't being attacked, that I'm not being killed, that we're not all the crazy things that were going in my head was the sight of those guys. The minute I saw them and they came to me and helped me and escorted me and I just saw them all over DC, and this is the first time I personally see them in action. They were the stabilizers, they were the protectors, they were your angels, right? And so to me, that is my vision and my reality of the National Guard. So when you're seeing them, you not only know that this is a moral injury for them, what's happening to them, you also know that their mission is different than like the Marines or somebody else. So to have them in that position, you can kind of fuck with the system to make it happen, which is what you did, and it's going to backfire on you, but you did it at the expense of them. Right. So now these guys, in 12 months, are all going to have moral injury. They're all going to be sad and whatever. But for me, it hit a thing in me because it took away that sense of safety that they had given to me in the first place, which is what everybody there should be having from their National Guard, and instead is the opposite. Right. So I had to have like a whole hour-and-a-half conversation with my counselor. So that's how mental health is affected by these fucking decisions, you know? Like, he took me back to 9/11. Like, do you think I want to hang out back in 9/11? Do you think I want to remember all of that? And for it to question the reality of my experience with National Guard and to watch them being bashed. Right. I don't want them being bashed. Right. Those are good guys. But now, who knows that now? Nobody knows that.
No one knows.
Right. It's going to change that story.
It's fucked.
And I don't want to bring this up because this is a movie, but you remember Iron Man 3, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When Tony Stark was talking trash to the Mandalorian on the phone on TV.
Yeah.
And the Mandalorian blew up his house, or the Mandarin, not the Mandalorian. Star Wars.
Yeah.
I'm so stupid.
Wait, Star Wars and DC comics would be crossed.
The Mandarin. And Tony was like, you know where I live. Yep. If you're really about it, pull up. Next scene, helicopter, missiles, blew up his house.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really crazy. And then we're just going to talk about the Marines for a minute because I do want to honor them because they're going to be perceived as the bad guys right now. They don't want to do this. There's a lot of moral injury. There's a lot of shit going on online with veterans about this. A lot of shit going on online with with military. But when you're in the military and you have asshole forcing you to do something and you don't really know the truth because when you're in the service, you know, that's your commander in chief and whatever. So they don't get it, but they do get it, but they don't get it. It's kind of crazy what's going on with them right now. And they actually do have the right to have a conscientious exit from this. But they don't even know that that's that there's a reason to because they're being presented with a different picture of what's going on. The thing about the Marines is very different than the National Guard, right? The National Guard, like I said, they are domestic. They are the people. It's all that, so their roles are different. They should be fighting fires and all that kind of stuff, not this nonsense. And also, if you need them and you're ICE, then you suck because you should be able to do it without them. Okay, well, there's that. The Marines, in particular, they are the ones that out of all of us, all of our servicemen, all of us that served, we understand, even in the Army, we understand their lethality. Yep. We understand that they have two purposes. That is, destroy everything where they land, like destroy it, and kill.
Take no prisoners.
That's it. Right. And they're good at it. They're excellent at it. And they do it because it needs to be done, not because, hey, man, there's a little trouble going on. Let's go, hey. No, they do it because they take it seriously. That is their way of saving their world, the world, for the rest of us. It's ugly, it's nasty, and not everybody can do it, and not everybody agrees with what they do. But that is their mission, and that is what has saved our democracy forever. There's a reason they're the few, the proud, the Marines. Right. There's a fucking reason why they're the elite of everybody. There's a reason why it's difficult to get in, sustain, maintain, get out, and be normal.
But I think it's and be normal. I say, as the daughter of a Vietnam veteran Marine of 2 tours, with cousins in the Marines as artillery sergeants who did Desert Storm, that and be normal. Yeah, and be normal is a big thing. And not common, unfortunately. And I have also great concerns, mental health wise, for these young men, and they are young men and young women who are in these roles right now who did not sign up. They didn't sign up for what they are about to have to do, and coming out and making sure that they are also okay. Part of working, and I think this is true for law enforcement too, part of us getting past this is there are good guys and bad guys everywhere. We all understand that, even in our field. Know that, and in our field as well. But that we are going to have to There is going to be another side of this.
There's going to be a whole avalanche that's going to happen
when we get to the other side of it.
Yeah.
It's going to have to be not whether or not you wore a uniform, not whether or not you had a badge. It is going to have to be that you suffered at the hands of this, because we are asking people to do things that they are not mentally equipped to do. And
not only that, but they don't want to do, and there's no need for it. So we don't have a 9/11 going on over there.
Right.
Like, I don't see that. So the thing with the Marines is that is their job. So their job is they legally cannot do police work. Right. They legally cannot do Marine work on our soil. They cannot do any of these things that we're trying to portray that they're going to go do. So that's confusing to them. That's not what their mission is, and that's not even what they're prepared or trained to do. They don't know how to do crowd control. They're not trained to do that, so that's just an accident waiting to happen. So I don't see this working well, and I don't see them doing it. I just don't see that happening, and we're just going to have to wait and see. So I'm just saying, understand that the visual that they're trying to give you while using them is not real. It's not real. It's prop right now. It's not legitimate. And it's unfortunate, and it's unfair, and it's messed up, and it's messing with our heads, and it's messing with their heads, and it's messing with the military.
There's going to be some other crossover, because I had to look up the percentage. I wasn't sure what it was. I just knew it was fairly significant. That it is 25% of our law enforcement officers, and my father was also a police officer after he did 2 tours in Vietnam for which he wasn't taken care of. He then became a police officer. Yeah. This is not a good situation.
No.
And it's not a good situation when you have these kind of armored setups and these riot gear setups, and now you've added military, because these folks are going to revert back to this combat mentality that they came from, because there are 25% of them, that's what they did first.
Yeah. So there's all of these, and I'm just going to leave it in my show notes because I don't want us to get triggered and upset about it. But there's many current of these junior officers, of these military people having a lot of concern and a lot of, they're upset. They don't like it. There's just a whole lot of things going on with them right now. So let's just hold their mental health, and be there for them and not try to bash them or whatever, because this is an awful situation for them, and hope that everything gets done the way that it needs to do. But there's a lot of dissent on this that isn't being told truthfully about it, and that's just one more situation that we want to make sure everybody take care of your mental health with that, because don't believe everything that you're hearing them tell you about this. This is not, it's tricky, but these guys are not interested in fighting their own people. They really aren't, and they don't have the heart to do it, and they're not going to, and it's their own, it's not. It's a very difficult situation. The governor of California is opposed to it, and we're going to have to just see what's going on with that. So let's move on beyond that. So what other things do you guys, especially you guys who aren't mental health clinicians, from your perspective, what are some of the mental health related things that you're connecting to this, or that you're foreseeing with this, or that you want addressed at some point moving forward in this whole scenario?
I feel, especially online, primarily, like when you brought up some of the websites that people can go to, I feel like that's suppressed, because it's kind of like a lot of people don't know that. I feel like if that gets out there more, I know, of course, it's the easiest thing to do is just post and that be it, and then, go back and forth. But like y'all were saying, bringing up those solutions, actually things that you can actually do. Yeah. I feel like more people need to know that, because I feel like most people would just get online, say what they got to say, leave, and then they'll continue this thing going. And then it's like, oh man, how come things ain't changing? So it's like now, like bringing up that, because I had no idea about that site. Like the 5 calls and stuff, I had no idea about that. Yeah. And it's like, if there's more of that out there, I mean, we live in an information age. So I get the convenience of just posting and that's it, but it's like
the information superhighway.
Yeah.
And think about who you're posting to, right? I had to say this to my nibblings over and over and over and over again. Like, you're preaching to your own choir. Yeah. Like, nobody on my friend and family Facebook page, which is like 88 people, need to have me post 25 times all these things about these. Like, they're all pretty much thinking like they're pretty much all kind of feeling like they don't want 4-year-olds sort of, they're kind of, even if they're like staunch Republican opposite from anything anybody else is doing, they're pretty clear on that. So they don't need, so we're preaching to the people who already know what we think and feel.
Right.
Like that's not helping anything.
Right.
And when we're doing that, and it's just habit, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
So where can we go?
Right.
Is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Who do we listen to? Who are the correct people that we speak to? And how is that even going to help us? Like, why would we want to do that? Are we trying to maintain our own mental health? Are we trying to help other people's mental health? Like, what are we doing with all of it? You know, like, I don't know. So I don't really necessarily buy into go online, everything is going to fix online kind of thing. Because I have a hate, love, hate, hate, love, hate relationship with.
I counted more hates than love.
Yeah.
I was like,
70% hate, 30% love.
Social media, so
I get it. Understand.
You know why? Because people, and this is the hate part.
Yeah.
Shit that people won't do in real life in your face, they think that they are all of a sudden courageous and can go online and like my brother's wife did. You know what I'm talking about? And like in my face you don't, but online with all your many people.
Everybody brave.
I love it when people do that because when I see you, I'm like, what's all that smoke? What happened?
Suddenly you're sitting in front of me at a
talking that good
deposition
shit.
and you're uncomfortable because I'm staring into your eyes and you have to make a big mean girl thing out of that. But online you seem to be courageous and
Talk
all that
trash.
Yeah, until a lawyer contacts you, right, and says,
Oh, I was playing. I didn't mean
no, it's not me. It's you, Darvo.
Yeah.
So like,
she made me do it.
so there are, and it's not just that. I mean, I've seen it over and over and over and over again. The damage that it causes people because there's this fake persona, and then there's this sense online of there's this fantasy person that everybody has of themselves online, and then there's this need to be loved and liked and looked at and look at me and reels and this, that, and the other. Like, if that's your job and you have to do it, I respect it. I've said that before, right? There's people that's their legitimate job. They have to do that. Radio people like you have to do that. And I get that, and that's your job though. That's not my job. I don't need to be on there watching you, and I don't. But I will support people who that's their thing. But as far as everything else goes, it's like, I don't find the legitimacy of it.
Right.
I just don't. I don't take it seriously, but it causes a lot of harm. And there's a lot of disinformation, which is very different from misinformation. Yeah. That shit is purposely being mistold on purpose. And I don't want to participate in that. But your comment is like, so then how do I find out?
Right.
Who are those mental health professionals that I should be talking to?
Yeah.
How do I find out what I should be doing if someone in my family is suffering because of current events? What do you do? What do you do, Nichole?
Well, I am big on, first of all, if it ends in a .org, it's an org, it's a nonprofit. There's not a whole lot of masking in that because there are rules that are still being followed.
Yeah.
So I think it is the .orgs. I think that there's research on that. I mentioned earlier, I think if everybody on your feed looks like you, sounds like you, you are doing it wrong. So I think that that's a really big deal to look through those things. And I remind people all the time, social media is media.
Yeah.
Right? We post our finished product.
Right.
Do not compare the B-roll of your life to somebody else's finished product.
There you go,
Because that is not reality.
Yeah.
They don't look like that, sound like that, talk like that either
Right.
until their 9th or 10th or 90th take, depending. And JRoc and Ann, I bet will attest to that over and over again.
100%.
So I think it is curating your sources.
Yeah.
I think it's making sure they're diverse sources. And I think it's cross-checking. And a little skepticism is okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
A little skepticism is all right.
Yeah, it is. And what you do, I think at the end of the day, to understand how mental health is a very complicated yet simple thing.
Yep.
You know? And the complicated part of it is that we complicate it. We complicate it. We sort of surround ourselves in the things that are causing our mental health to go sideways. So we have control over that a lot of the times. So that's the complicated part. The simple part is get away from it.
There you go.
Keep it out.
Yep.
Don't do it. I don't hang out with people that don't like me. I don't talk to people who don't like me.
There it is.
I'm not Facebook friends with people who could care less in real life what happens to me.
Right.
But online, you're posting pretty pictures of something we did. Like, I don't know. I don't do that. I'm not judging people who do that. But what I'm saying is, for my mental health, I've discovered that I am an INFJ. So therefore, there are things that trigger me differently, rub me differently than maybe would you, or you. So I know what my limitations are on what I can consume online. I can't consume fake people. I can't consume mean people. I can't consume ugly people. And by ugly, I mean personality ugly. I can't consume people who are not doing the right thing necessarily. Not that I always do all of these things and I'm perfect with all of that, but I am aiming in that direction. Right. So therefore, I don't want to be around people who are not, So I am judgy about that, and I know how it affects me to be around people who are, like, for example, I'll just use an example right now. People who are majorly into consumerism, very much into what I bought, how much it cost, how shiny it, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you can do that and you have the money and that's your thing, more power to you. And if it brings you happiness and it doesn't destroy your life, good on you, right? I'm proud of you. But if it's something that's not real and is fake and you're just doing it because of your image and I have a problem sitting comfortably with people like that, because what that does to me is fake. So I don't want fake, look at me taking care of my mental health look at me, I'm doing this. No, you're not. Go see a therapist. Like, get off of fucking YouTube and go see a real therapist in person, okay? That is not you taking care of your mental health. That is you feeding your desired definition of what taking care of your mental health is. Right. Watching YouTubes on this one issue that you want to so badly resonate with. Right. Yeah. You don't want a therapist to literally sit there and say, okay, let's unpack that you're not doing. So I have issues with that, but I also see that people are entertained, and that's good, right? And people learn a lot of things. Right. That's good. Right. People sell things and have careers on there. Yeah. People help on there. But how do we find those people? How do you find those people? Do you find those people?
Yeah, kind of. I don't know if you ever saw Channel 5 on YouTube. They'll go to, like, the concerts in, like, Daytona, but they're at Los Angeles. Completely unbiased. They're talking to people in the crowd and the cops. The cops wouldn't talk. But they were also talking to people in the crowd. So it was like, hey, we're not one side on this group. We're not one side. Pretty much every place they went, they're like, hey, we want to hear from both sides. Yeah. I watch them. Other things I watch on YouTube, stupid, silly shit.
I love those. Love them.
Like people busting their ass. That's funny.
Well, but I think that's the tool, right? Like this is a tool. It's in moderation only tool. Right? You don't want too much of any of one of those things. But understanding and appreciating what's out there, because there is really good content out there, and there's brilliant musicians and brilliant, and
even activists. There are great activists that aren't trying to get you all charged up. They're really trying to learn. Same thing with mental health, right? If right now your mental health is sort of being challenged, find the mental health people who are literally there doing a good job. That is their job. Go to the helpers. That is what they do. Find the helpers when there is crisis. That is what they do, and they do it well. When it comes to your politicians, you have to find the one that you genuinely believe is doing their real job, not just being a fake politician. And when you find that person, whether they're in your party or not, if you like the way that they are presenting information, follow those kinds of politicians on both sides and listen to both of them. But don't listen to the ones like our crazy congresswoman and then think you're gonna find other ones that hang out with her that does that. No, find the one that you appreciate how she is, even if she's not of your party, and then find other people like that one to really follow. But there's a lot of ways. We're gonna, our show notes are gonna be full of a lot of references and stuff like that. But I think at the end of the day, the only thing that I have to say, and we'll go around and you guys can say yours, but for me, I feel like regardless of what's going on in this country or anywhere else that's messing with your mental health, you have to make your mental health priority. You have to do that. So you're not gonna be able to change anything and do anything if you're not taking care of your mental health. Get out of it, take a break, take a sabbatical from it, let somebody else pass the torch, whatever you got to do, get out of it if you need to, and then come back when you have restored your sanity.
Yeah.
And do a little bit and then get out. Pay attention to your body. Pay attention to your body. It tells you.
Mm-hmm.
That's my tip.
There you go.
What do you think?
No, I love that tip. Yeah, I'm with you. Definitely take a break. Kind of. I mean, I know I'm different, so I'm kind of like I like to whatever your is it a healthy vice? Something that you could do just to break away. I know Vice has like that. Yeah. But whatever you got to do,
like a hobby.
Yeah, hobby. Take a just fall back for a little bit. It'll be there. And just sometimes you can test it too. Like see how long I can be off of it and see how it feels.
Yeah.
And then when you get back to it, it's like, oh, okay.
No wonder.
I don't really need this. But yeah, that's mine. Yeah.
What do you think?
Something I'm trying to learn is staying off social media, because I do post links like, hey man, if you can't make a protest, here's a GoFundMe.
Yeah.
Out there needs help.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So like, there's one I donated to a couple days ago for people who have to can't go outside, who need some money. I'm like, hey, there you go.
Yeah.
But I need to learn to stay off, because after Sunday night I was just pissed.
Yeah.
I
You need
felt my
boundaries.
body having a panic attack. I was like, this is shit I've seen in movies and it's happening in real life.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
But
Boundaries, man. Boundaries.
yeah,
100%.
stuff like this is why I learned how to stay home,
Yeah.
stay away from people.
Yeah, and unfortunately right now, there's something about people who do not live in peace. This right now, we have a branch of our government who is not about peace. They're not about peace and cohesion and love and all that kind of stuff. They're just not. They're the one branch that is not. So there's something about those people. We have them in our real life. We have them in our schools. We have them at, the Walgreens. We have them everywhere. There are these people who cannot function and exist unless there is like a whole lot of drama, ugly, nasty shit going on. And then you have the people who are peaceful and want to see things happen and all that kind of stuff. And sometimes we do have those administrations. You got to find your people and your politicians who are those people. And don't pay so much attention to the ones who aren't, because those are the ones that are doing the work. We're not on the front lines. That's their job. That's why we elected them. Yep. So you put the heat on them to do their job. That's what they do. That's what police is supposed to do. They're supposed to protect people. That is their job. So you put it back on them, and then you do your part at home for yourself and your family and your community. What do you say?
I love all of that. I think we need to learn to trust our inner wisdom a little bit more, know who we are. And a lot of times, because of what we're consuming or because of who we're around, we quash that part.
Yeah.
And we forget. I think especially, and then we weaponize words, which is how this whole thing started.
Yeah.
With you talking about weaponized words. And so the last thing I want to say about that is, like, we've just said, be peaceful, be this and that. And I want to make a clarification difference on the words that peaceful, I'm a peaceful human. I am not a Zen human.
Yeah, me too.
I am not built to be all Zen and happy and floating around. I got words for you, and if we're gonna, we may have them. It's okay, especially if you get in the way with my people. If you start, if you're coming for my people, I'm gonna change a little bit. Peace does not mean complacency.
No.
Peace does not mean we laid down.
Yep.
Peace means that we are holding our ground for our people because we have meaning and we have value, and no matter who you are and no matter what anybody is Xing now, I guess, or Truth Socialing or Fox Newsing or whatever the hell else they're doing out there, Facebook posting, you have value.
Yeah.
You have worth exactly as you are. If you're angry, find a way to be productive about releasing that. If you are sad, find a way to be productive about releasing that. It's all legit. It's all good. If you want to show up, show up. If you need to stay home,
Stay home.
stay home.
Yeah.
Do you.
Yeah.
Do 100% you.
There's
Don't hurt anybody or yourself.
There's this one saying which epitomizes the way that I feel, and it's a meme that I posted once, and I'm gonna totally botch it up, but you'll get the point. And it's like, don't confuse a peaceful person with a person who does not know how to go to war. Don't do that. Don't do that. And people do that with me. A lot of people have done that with me, and they've learned. Like, just because I'm peaceful and I like to keep things, that does not mean that I'm not going to be the ugliest warrior in my realm of warriorness if I need to, because I will. If I need to get ugly and I need to get hard, I'm going to do that because I protect my peace.
That's right.
Don't fuck with my peace because I'm gonna take you down.
That's right.
And that's just and I mean that figuratively. I'm not gonna take anybody down. But don't confuse that in a person with their inability to come out fighting like a banshee, because it's not the same thing. All right, so we're gonna wrap it up because we have run real late. We might have a two-parter in this. I don't know. Thanks, guys, for being here. Everybody, just take care of yourselves and take care of your mental health. Good night. Thanks for listening to the X-Podcast with me, Xiomara Sosa, clinical mental health counselor, licensed professional counselor here in South Carolina. We hope you enjoy our real conversations about all things related to mental health. You can check out our show notes for reference, resources, and other show-related information. If you found value in our conversation, we encourage you to join us weekly as we discuss different mental health topics. You can head over to the X-Podcast website at www.studiotalkpodcast.net and send us a message from there, as well as sign up for our newsletter. Our email address is studiotalkmentalhealth@gmail.com. You can also subscribe to our podcast and leave us a rating and review at blueberry.com/studiotalkmentalhealth. And send us a text or call us at area code 843-695-9974. Please recommend our podcast to your friends, colleagues, family, and networks. Thanks for supporting us.